Nakanohito Genome is an online game quite popular among teenagers and young people in Japan. One day, a selected number of gameers get a congratulatory message from the game, signifying that they have been chosen to participate in a closed-stage event captioned The Ones Within. That evening, while Akatsuki Iridi, one of the selected gamers, views the message, he sneezes and regains consciousness in the middle of nowhere. Lying beside him is another gamer, Karen Sarayashiki, who is unconscious at the time. Although Iride has no idea where he is, he seems more concerned about Karen's well-being. He then makes the mistake of reaching out to Karen's neck, only to get punched brutally in the face. It appeared that Karen woke up and got the wrong impression from Iride, as she thought that he was reaching for her melons. As Iride bleeds from his nose, he tries to convince Karen that he is not a pervert. It goes on for a while till both parties begin charging in the woods. Karen has no idea where she is, and as such Iride intends to get a phone to figure something out. Just then, he notices the presence of a huge monster and then jumps Karen to safety. It turns out that the monster is a huge panda with ground-shaking footsteps. Iride hides in the woods with Karen and prevents her from freaking out so they do not attract the panda's attention. His plan fails as his allergies take hold of him and cause him to sneeze. While sprinting away from the panda, another gamer, Kaikoku Onigasaki, arrives at the scene and kills a huge rat with his sword. He hands Karen a katana to defend herself while Iride climbs a tree for some reason. When he gets to the top of the tree, he gains the panda's attention and manages to pet it. This alone shocks Karen and Kai because they thought that the panda was a murderous creature. On the other hand, Iride proposes a theory and uses it to prove to Kai and Karen that the panda does not want to kill them. Minutes after the panda walks away, Paka, a man with a sheep-type face mask, appears at the scene and introduces himself as a supervisor of the Ones Within Genome, Buck. He applauds Iride for taming the panda and then states that it was stage 1 of the game. He goes on to give a lecture about the game and its objectives, and the gamers listen attentively. According to him, the epidermal counter on their wrists signifies the view counts they have. When asked to remove his mask, he declines and states that it is embarrassing. He then goes straight to the point and informs the gamers that their objective is to attain 100 million views during the game's livestream. He assures them that their playtime is infinite, and that they should play as if their life depended on it. That afternoon, other gamers assemble in a classroom located in the Genome Tower. There, Paka allows the gamers to introduce themselves one by one so they can all get acquainted. The first gamer to introduce himself is Iride, and the way he speaks infuriates Karen. She smacks him in the head because she feels he has no sense of danger. Another gamer, Anya Kudu, is quite pissed that Paka is holding him against his will. He intends to be set free so he can go on with his normal life. However, Paka reminds him that acts of violence against him are against the rules. Despite that, Anya dares him to see how far his punishments will go. In turn, Paka warns that he should be careful of his next meals, since lots of pepper will be in them. The next gamer who introduces herself is none other than Yuzu Roramori. She specializes in puzzle games, mazes, and speedruns. While she speaks, Iride calls her attention because he recognizes her from a speedrun channel. Yuzu confirms that she knows him and is quite stunned that he was abducted too. As time goes on, the last gamer to speak is a guy named Makino Aikawa. He raises his head from his desk and remains mute. Even when Paka calls him out, he remains silent. Paka is now forced to read Makino's details from his file, beginning with his name and skills. According to Paka, Makino is a dating sim player who uses his eyes to conquer rather than words. After the introductory session is over, Paka goes on to start the election for stage 2 of the game. The next game is Ouija Exchange, and it requires 4 players. Since Anya does not understand the game's objective yet, he angrily calls Paka. Instantly, Paka gets the impression that Anya wants to retire from the game. Because of that, he goes on to give a brief lecture on what happens to those who retire. According to him, a retiree will be imprisoned in the White Room and on the lowest floor of the Genome Tower till the others reach 100 million views. The last person who retired from the game spent her days in the White Room till she became nothing but bones. While Paka explains these things, Anya reaches out to him and chokes him. However, Paka recovers as if nothing happened and then warns that no resets exist in the game. Moments later, Iride, Karen, Anya, and a gamer named Zakuro gather around a classroom to play the Ouija Exchange game. From the information on the board, the gamers are meant to grant a spirit's 3 wishes and obtain chromosome ZO1. At first, a conflict exists between the gamers because Anya does not want to play. After some convincing from Iride, he finally agrees to play the game with the other 3 gamers. The first word that comes up on the board is water, and the gamers deliver accordingly. The next word is friend, and Iride volunteers to be the spirit's friend. The last word that pops up is Iride's first name, Akatsuki, and this leaves everyone confused. Just then, Iride gets pulled by an invisible force against his wish. It goes on till he gets closer to the window of the classroom. Before he gets pushed off, he tells Karen that someone is behind her. Luckily for Iride, the panda saved him from falling. As he enters back into the class, he points at Sakuro, signifying that there is someone behind him. Zakuro and the rest of the gamers step aside and wonder how the female being entered the classroom. Irid quickly assumes that the girl is the spirit from the game and tries to hold a conversation with her. At first, the spirit thanks him for the water and then asks him to be her friend. Irid agrees to the friendship under the condition that he will come back for her when the game is over. Finally, Irid hugs her and the game ends. The following day, Paka debriefs the gamers on their next game. Stage 3 features a dating sim nurturing simulation. While Paka speaks, Anya notices something on Iride's head and hits it off. As the object falls to the ground, Paka explains that it is a Pakamera used to film the area. According to him, the Pakamera's ability to make allows viewers to experience the stream as if they are in the game. He approves the gamers to use the towers and its facilities, but then forbids them from entering the tower's floor 51 and beyond. If anyone violates the law, the person will be severely punished. As time passes, Paka goes into the details of the Stage 3 game. The gamers are to raise the girl who will be born from an egg and help her get along with the school idol, Hikaru Genji. Yuzu and Iride are quite excited to raise a girl from an egg. According to Paka, the Stage 3 game requires at least 4 players, and there is no upper limit. A gamer, Himiko gets nominated for the game since she specializes in nurturing games. Makino gets nominated too since the game is partly a dating simulation. Kai declines to participate in the game and heads off to explore the gaming sphere. Later that day, Iride, Himiko, Anya, and Makino gather around the egg to make sure it hatches properly. Himiko reads out a manual that contains conditions for the egg to hatch. While Irid and his teammates prepare boiling water and other things for the egg, Makino speaks for the first time. He mutters, "Soft-boiled egg," and Anya is left shocked. At some point, the boys become unserious about the nurturing game, and Himiko gets furious. As a result, she warns the boys to take the game seriously, because nurturing takes time and devotion. Following that, all 4 of them gather around the egg praying about what the girl would look like when she comes out from the egg. Just before the egg hatches, Iridi wishes that he could see the panda again. Elsewhere, Yuzu meets up with Karen in the tower and invites her for a hot shower. As Karen agrees, Yuzu states that they will both talk about Irid. Back at Anya's position, the girl from the egg resembles a panda with an afro. As the girl assumes the name Musaraki, Anya assumes that her panda looks are from Iridi's crazy imagination. In a rage, he grabs Iride by his shirt and wonders if he should take out a few incisors or canines. However, Himiki calms him down and proposes that Musaraki can look better with proper care and maintenance. Musaraki quickly gets sad because she is not the ideal girl every guy would want. While she drowns in sadness, Iride and Himiki team up to cheer her up. Although Makino stays silent, his lovely eyes make Musaraki blush a little. At sunset, Yuzu chills with Karen in a hot spring. She brings up a conversation about Iride where she asks to know if Karen met Iride in the game. Karen replies accordingly, but it's obvious that she does not like Irid that much. When she voices out, Yuzu gets closer to her and gives off a seductive smile. How she speaks at this point makes Karen feel somewhat uncomfortable. As she gets closer to Karen, Karen states that the distance between them is too small, even as they are girls. At this point, Yuzu denies being a girl and keeps getting closer to Karen. This alone shocks Karen. At long last, Yuzu laughs and tells Karen that she is just messing with her. She explains that earning views is not limited to those playing the games. That evening, Musaraki gets the impression that Makino loves her. Irid, who is present at the time, calls Himiki's attention so she can tend to Musaraki. When Makino enters the room again, Musaraki buries her head on the ground, giving an excuse that her heart hurts. Meanwhile, Anya keeps up with the angry face and eats in silence. While Musaraki is out cold, Iridi concludes that she has a crush on Makino. Anya is not quite having it at this point because he wants to end stage 3 of the game quickly. After he voices out, Himiki takes out a grenade and warns him to take his word back. Anya declines, and as such, Himiki does the unthinkable. Fortunately, no one died, but Anya is quite irritated. The following day, the gamers arrive at St. Shikibu Girls Academy to proceed with Stage 3 of the game. As Anya tries to get past the gate, he finds out the hard way that men are not permitted in the academy. Later that day, Iridi and the others enter the school wearing female uniforms. Hikaru Genji is the academy's teacher, and it seems he likes girls a lot. Musaraki peeks at him and already wants to speak to him. However, she compares herself to the girls Hikaru is with and feels that she is not pretty enough. On the other hand, Himiki cheers her up and advises her to speak to the person she likes. After afternoon classes, Makino and Iride spy on Hikaru to see what he is like when alone. Based on Iride's observations, Hikaru is the narcissistic type. As he heads off to warn the others, Musaraki enters the room to meet Hikaru. Muaraki offers him a cake that she made, and he fakes a smile while collecting it. After the door closes, he slams the cake to the ground and complains about having to look better than everyone else. Sadly, the door was not properly closed, and Musaraki was there the whole time. When Hikaru finds out, he tries to kill her, but he gets knocked to the ground by Makino. Although Hikaru is quite pissed that he was hit, he turns around and falls in love with Makino's looks. Makino shows no mercy on Hikaru as he spanks him to the ground with a bottle. Later that day, Musaraki offers Yuzu, Himiki, Iridi, Karen, and Mikano some cakes that she baked earlier. She leaves the last one for Anya, who was evicted from the school at the point of entry. Despite the fact that Hikaru was quite rude to Musaraki, she wants him to feel better. Sadly, Musaraki and the others notice it. Himiki and Iridi hug her because they will miss her after she fades away. At sunset, Iridi meets up with Anya and offers him the cake that Musaraki reserved for him. Anya wastes no time to dig in, and he continues, because the cake is sweet. Although stage 3 has been cleared, Himiki does not look in her best mood. That evening, Yuzu opens her closet, which contains multiple pictures of Iride pasted all over the walls. The following day, Kai and Zack meet up with the rest of the gamers at some level in the tower. Kai has something on his mind that he wishes to share with Iride and the others. According to him, while Anya and his comrades were out playing stage 3, something happened. At that time, Zack joined him in a building to inspect it. After a continuous search, they both found out that the neighboring buildings were vacant. In the present, while Kai tries to explain things to the other gamers, a wild monster appears behind him and grabs Zack by the leg. Paka, on the other hand, drops a broadcast message saying that he has prepared a special S stage because some gamers broke the rules. The objective of the S stage is to exterminate the mimicry man-eating monsters. After Paka is done debriefing the gamers, Anya helps to free Zack from the monster's grasp, while Kai slices off its limb with a katana. Since the monster still proves hostile, Himiki aims 2 flashbang grenades at it, but the monster still lives. Because of that, the gamers speed off to another layer of the tower to seek refuge. On the way, Anya and Iridi stop to get weapons that they will use to protect themselves. While at it, Karen mysteriously appears before them, and Anya wonders why she is there since she ran off in the opposite direction. As Karen gets closer to Iridi, she gives off a weird smile and tries to hug him. Too bad, she is not actually Iride, but one of the man-eating monsters in disguise. She bites Iride on the face, but Anya stabs her before she can inflict more damage. He then sprints off with Iride heading to the exit door only to become weak on the way. He passes out, and Iride is left at the mercy of the monster. Luckily for Iride, the monster stops moving, and he assumes it's because of the sunset. Moving on, Anya lies asleep at a lower level of the tower under Yuzu's supervision. According to her observation, Anya has not gotten sleep in the past few days. Following that, Iridi goes on to explain the details of his encounter with the man-eating monster. Karen feels uncomfortable as she listens to Iridi's explanation because one of the monsters looks like her. Yuzu offers to run some investigations while Kai agrees to be her bodyguard. Moments later, Zack and Iride arrive at the level where they were last attacked by a monster. There, they notice that the monster has shrunk in size by a lot. Iride packs the remains of the monster and places it in a sack bag following Yuzu's wishes. Although he does not recall meeting Yuzu before the game, he feels like he has met her before. He arrives at the previous level of the tower only to find out that Anya is already awake. Anya is quite surprised that it is morning already, and he goes on to give details about his sleeping disorder. According to him, it is common in his family to inherit some type of sleeping illness. He cannot fall asleep normally, so he has to force it with medicine or wit till he reaches his limit and collapses. Iride listens to him and realizes why he is always upset every time. Surprisingly, Himiki arrives with a tray of food that contains 2 flashbang grenades in it. The grenades scare Anya and the others, and as such they behave accordingly. Moving on, Kai joins Yuzu to her room in the tower. Here, he finds out that Yuzu has got some poisons for the man-eating monsters. One thing that catches his attention is a picture of Iridi who falls to the ground. When he tries to give the picture to Yuzu, he finds out that her closet is filled up with Iridi's pictures. As time goes on, Yuzu tries out her poisons on the remains of the man-eating monsters. While at it, Kai recalls what he saw in Yuzu's room. Some minutes earlier, Yuzu told Kai to keep whatever he saw a secret, since it was quite embarrassing to have multiple pictures of a guy. Later that morning, Yuzu tells the other gamers to wait until sundown so that they can handle the monsters. She drops a bag of poison so it will be used to kill off all the monsters in the tower. When asked how she got the poison, Yuzu cunningly ignores the question and tells Zack that walking alone at night is dangerous. She then gives an excuse that having poison keeps bad boys away. At some point, Paka gets on the microphone and informs the gamers about their current game time and view counts. It turns out that their view count has passed 5 million, and they've achieved the scare faster than anyone in history. About 2 days ago, when Kai and Zack were out exploring restricted grounds, Paka caught up to them and demanded an apology. Rather than apologize, Kai aimed a smoke grenade at Paka and used the opportunity to run past him. Before he got so far, he punched Paka in the face and raced for the exit with Zack. In the present, Paka warned Zack and Kai not to engage in any needless exploring. After the announcement, Yuzu debriefs the gamers on how they will eradicate the man-eating monsters. One important thing she says is to avoid being alone at night. That evening, the extermination operation begins, and Iride starts injecting the monsters with poison. While at it, he converses with Anya about his sleeping disorder. Anya is quite upset at this point, but what pisses him off more is the fact that Iride wants him to ask Paka for sleeping medication. Since he hates Paka, he does not want any help from him. Even when Iride offers to do the asking himself, Anya warns him to mind his business. In Anya's absence, Iridi stares at the camera and states that he would like to speak to Paka later. Paka, who sits in the control room, smiles and agrees with Iridi's wishes. On a different level of the tower, Zack and Kai find two monsters using Makino's appearance as a disguise. However, Kai is forced to exterminate both monsters since they attack first. Later that night, while everyone is sleeping, Karen wakes Iride up and begs him to join her in the bathroom since she wants to pee. Iride agrees and waits in front of the female's bathroom. At some point, he becomes pressed, and as such, he enters the male bathroom to ease himself. After he is done, he finds Yuzu standing behind him strangely. Yuzu draws closer to him and uses a hammer to smash a mirror, so she can see how he will react. Based on Iridi's instinctive reaction, Yuzu confirms that the guy in the bathroom is not a reed, but a man-eater. Even at that, the imposter tries to keep up a good act to make Yuzu think otherwise, but he dies in the end. The following day, the gamers wake up and find out that the monsters have withered away. Karen and some gamers notice that Yuzu is being clingy to Iride for some reason. Yuzu feels guilty because she killed a being that looked like Iride. She voices out to Iride that she is glad he is okay. Iride, who is confused at the time, thanks her for caring about him. Moments later, Iride approaches Anya with sleeping meds and he gets punched in the face. Later that morning, Iride meets up with Himiki and hands her a toy for her hair. Himiki thanks Iride for the toy, but notices that he has a bruised face. When asked what happened, Iride lies by saying that he fell. Despite the lie, Himiki has reason to believe that Anya played a part in Iridi's injury. During lunchtime, Iride offers to sit next to Anya, but he disapproves. Iride even offers to eat the pepper in his meal, but he declines too. Himiki, on the other hand, threatens Anya with some grenades, giving some speech about how peppers were raised by farmers with love. Although she is all about nurturing, she takes it too far. In the end, Anya walks away from the room, and Yuzu wonders if they had a fight. She then wonders where Kai and Zack might be, since they are strangely absent again. Elsewhere, while it rains, Kai explores a settlement situated close to the tower. While at it, Zack joins him and they break into a building. Here, a conversation begins between the two where they talk about family. Zack reveals that he is in the game for a reason, and he will not leave until he is done. He then reveals that he is in search of his twin sister. That evening, Paka leads the gamers to Kakurio village, where they are to proceed with the next stage of the game. According to him, Stage 5 features demon extermination. The village will be holding a Repose of Souls festival, but demons come to abduct pure maidens during all the commotion. The objective of the game is to stop the abductions and rescue all of the captured maidens. Paka emphasizes that the mission is quite tough, but failure is not an option. He guides the gamers to a building so they can get more intel from an elder inside. In Paka's absence, Iride volunteers to enter the building first, but Anya warns him to be careful. As he opens the door, a girl scares the shit out of him, but Kai is quick enough to render her defenseless. Later that evening, Iride and the others meet up with the village elder Kihachi. His granddaughter is Kika, the girl who attacked Iride earlier. Kihachi apologizes for his granddaughter's behavior, and then goes on to explain the situation in the village. He fears that his granddaughter might be taken by demons, but then drops shocking info by saying that visitors who come on the festival night will be greeted by death. He then offers some gifts to the gamers since they are there to help with the demon invasion. Unfortunately, the contents of the gift box are sacrificial robes. On the other hand, Anya unleashes his anger on Kihachi because the gifts signify a death sentence. However, Yuzu comes up with an idea to rescue the trapped maidens all at once. The only thing is that Kai fears that the maidens might be dead, but Kika assures him that they are not. Since he declined to participate in the nurturing game earlier, Anya now reminds him that he would participate in the current one. Moving on, they all sit with Kihachi to discuss how they will go about the mission. Iride volunteers to be one of the sacrificial lambs, but Kai reminds him that the demons only abduct girls. Rather than decline the role, Iride ties a ribbon on his head to fake being a lady. Kihachi opposes the idea because it is rumored that the demons like fine and bouncy girls. Anya gets the best of him this time because what he proposes sounds really creepy. A heated argument erupts as Anya tries to come up with the person who will volunteer as the sacrificial lamb. Zack strongly opposes the idea of dressing up as a girl. He reveals that he will cut his tongue off if he gets forced into the role. When the argument becomes worse, Himiki does her thing by setting off 2 flashbang grenades to calm the atmosphere. In a nutshell, Yuzu concludes that Makino is the sacrificial lamb. This is because Makino's eyes can charm the demons into falling for him. At first, Kai doubts the idea, and as such, Yuzu allows him to look at Makino's eyes. At first glance, he gets seduced despite the fact that he tries to hide it. Even Iride is shocked at the extent of Makino's abilities. The other sacrificial lamb is Iride, and Yuzu advises him not to speak so that the demons will not know that he is a guy. For some reason, Himiki gets curious and asks to know why Anya fought with Iride earlier. Anya declines fighting at all, and the Iride goes on to tell the real story. The previous day, Anya ran out of medicine and was not able to get much sleep. Since he didn't want to ask Paka for some sleeping pills, Iride asked on his behalf. When Iride offered Anya the pills, Anya got pissed and smacked him in the face. In the present, after Iride is done narrating the story, Yuzu tells Anya that he has no right to hit Iride. reason being that Arid is just worried about him. Finally, all the gamers except Arid and Makino hide in the woods awaiting the demons. Surprisingly, Kika creeps up behind them with a butcher's knife, smiling that they fell into her trap. However, she gets spotted by Kai, who questions her about what she is doing there. She ignores the question by telling Kai that he has a bug on his back. Soon, a huge demon arrives at the scene and picks up the sacrificial lambs. After using his powers on them, he finds out that their bodies are not bouncy. Yuzu and the other gamers are out of luck because their trump card, Makino, is fast asleep. In desperation, they all come out of hiding to face the huge demon. It is at this point that they find out that the demon is Kika's grandfather. Kohachi sees Kika and questions her about which of the gamers she would like for herself. Kika wastes no time to hold Karen by the neck because she likes her. As Kihachi walks carrying Kika and Karen, Iridi offers to join him. Although Kika tells him that she does not want him, he insists on joining as her slave. Anya lashes out at this point because he feels Iridi's intentions are uncalled for. Meanwhile, Iridi explains that he cannot let Karen by herself. In the end, Kihachi takes Iridi and leaves the woods. Although Anya tries his best to wrap his head around the situation, he lashes out again in anger. He recalls a time in the past when Iridi insisted on giving him some sleeping pills. At that time, Anya declined to collect the pills, but Irid was still persistent. In the present, Anya is pissed because he also wants Irid to be safe, despite being annoying sometimes. Yuzu assures him that things are still going according to plan because she has a tracker on Iridi's neck. Sometime in the past, when Kai was quite younger, he got exiled from his family house by his ailing father. In the present, he uses the tracker to lead the way to Irid's potential location. Zack, who is with him at the time, speaks of some way that they will pass the game and retrieve abducted comrades. The way he explains things makes Kai assume that his methods are extreme. A conversation about Zack's twin sister comes up as Kai asks questions about her. Zack tells Kai that everyone is busy playing the game, while he is the only one looking for the quickest way to escape. For this reason, he feels that Kai is the only one most determined about getting home. At Kika's domain, Karen and Iridi stand restricted in a cage. Despite his condition, Iridi still behaves jovial as always. This leaves Karen wondering how he is able to be composed as they are in a bad condition. The thought of Iridi getting spiced and eaten enters her mind, and she becomes more terrified. She snaps back into reality when Irid shows her that there is a part of the cage whose bar is a little bent. Irid takes advantage of the bent bar and smuggles himself out of the cage. Karen tries getting out of the cage, but her butt and bouncy melons obstruct her. Iride stares at her in silence as she displays her curves trying to get out of the cage. It gets to a point where Karen gets frustrated and quits trying to escape. Just then, Iridi hears someone's footsteps and runs off to go hide. Kika enters the room and notices that Iridi is out of the cage. She pays no attention to that because Karen is all she wants. A perverted touch and smooching of cheeks occur as Kika places her hands on Karen's face. In the meantime, Kai and Zack arrive at Kihachi's position. Kihachi, who is currently fishing, has no idea that they are behind him. Iride catches up to Kai and Zack and then warns them to help save Karen. He leads the way to another section of the building where Kika takes all the girls she abducts. Here, he reveals that Karen was stripped in the blink of an eye and turned into a newbie maid, Veronica. Kai, after hearing this, asks to confirm if Iridi saw as Karen changed clothes. Irid replies saying yes, claiming that he saw everything reluctantly. In a section of the building, Kika orders Karen to pour her some tea. Because Karen declines the order, the other abducted maids warn her not to defile Kika. Back outside the building, Kai and the others split up to find the spot where the abducted girls are being kept. While Zack investigates the area, he finds out that Kihachi is no longer fishing. Another thing that catches his attention is the sight of a bracelet that lies on the ground. At the same time, Iridi locates the place where the maids are being held captive. There, he finds out that Kika is with the key and he thinks about how he would get it. Meanwhile, Yuzu is at the Genome Tower watching Iride from behind a big screen. Back at Kihachi's lair, Kai enters a room and sees a picture of Kika and her granddad. The sight of the picture infuriates him to the extent that he bends it over. On the other hand, Iridi finds the key and heads off to free the maids. On his way, Kihichi catches him off guard and pounds him to the ground. He wastes no time in lifting Iridi into an upright choking position with the intent of killing him. As Iridi gradually loses access to oxygen, Paka arrives and tells Kihachi to leave Iridi alone. At first, Kihichi shows signs of disobedience, but Paka reminds him that he has jurisdiction over Kakurio village. In the end, Kihichi leaves Iridi and disappears from the scene. In his absence, Iridi thanks Paka for saving him. Paka hands Iridi a handkerchief and assures him that Kai is on his way to his position. As he walks away from the room, Iridi offers to be his friend. He feels that Paka has been lonely for a long time, and as such, he looks forward to escaping the game with Paka. However, Paka states that he cannot leave because he made a promise. In the meantime, Kai meets Zack at the entrance of Kihichi's lair. There, Zack reveals that his missing sister has been to Kihichi's lair because of the wristband he saw on the ground. Sometime in the past, Zack's sister who played Nakanohito Genome went missing before beating the game. For 2 years, Zack followed every single lead there was, but could not find her. Even the police and his parents were ready to give up the search. As time went on, Zack purposely got abducted in order to find his sister. In the present, Zack narrates all that went down in the past about his missing sister to Kai. He then tries to wrap his head around the fact that his missing sister might be with one of the abducted girls. Meanwhile, Kai notices that Irid is taking too long to return. Out of curiosity, he heads out to find out what's up. On the way, he finds Irid lying weak on the ground. Irid, who is barely conscious, explains that Kihachi caught him earlier when he went to free the girls. Kai, after hearing this, carries Irid on his back so they can release the girls. Minutes later, Kai arrives at the spot where the girls are being held captive. Karen looks happy to see him because she knows what comes next. After the girls are free, Kai drops details on how they will circle back to the other gamers. When it is time to leave the building, Zack insists on staying back because he wants to confirm something. Soon, Kika arrives at the scene, pissed about the fact that her maids have been freed. Upon seeing Zack, she claims that his face looks familiar. This alone triggers Zack to question Kika if she took a girl with a face like his. Since Zack's sister has been missing for 2 years, Kika is having issues remembering if she had her or not. She then uses Zack's emotions against him to the extent that he loses his temper. Before things can get worse, Kai calls Zack to order and reminds him about the consequences of losing control. In the end, Zack leaves this to Kai and walks away from the building. In Zack's absence, Kika reveals that she is lying about recognizing Zal's face. According to her, she teased Zack because he was already triggered. Kika attempts to summon her granddad when Kai reveals his murderous intent towards her. Surprisingly, Kihachi does not show up, and Kika is left stranded. Kai takes out his sword and uses it to find out from Kika if she recognized Zack's sister's face or not. He retracts his sword as Kika testifies that she does not recognize the face. As Kai walks away, Kika smiles and asks Kai if his family hates him. She does so because she feels that Kai hates the relationship that she has with her granddad. Even at that, Kai ignores her, walks away, and joins Zack outside the building. Days after the previous stage of the game, Paka leads the way into a desert for the gamers to complete yet another mission. He arrives at a monumental building in the desert and begins to debrief the gamers on the new mission. The game is about getting chromosome 05 from the guard in the deepest part of the building. However, at this game stage, only 2 gamers are allowed to participate, and it must be a female and male pair. As time passes, Himiko and Anya are selected to participate in the mission. For some reason, Himiki is quite scared that her gaming partner is Anya. Irid, on the other hand, intends to participate in the mission, but Yuzu reminds him that he has a broken bone. After that, Irid encourages Himiki by saying that everything will be fine. Before Anya heads into the monumental building, Paka warns that the participants should not lie under any circumstance. In the building, Anya walks ahead while Himiki follows his lead. On the way, she tries her best to stay on Anya's good side to avoid him getting upset. In doing so, Anya starts feeling weird, and as such he tells Himiki to start up a conversation. Himiki resets to the factory setting and asks Anya questions about his well-being. In turn, Anya replies by saying that he is getting enough sleep. Immediately after he says this, all the torches in that level of the building go off. Just then, some zombie-looking mummies head out of the shadows aiming for Anya. Back outside the building, Yuzu and Karen relax while sipping drinks under a shade. For some reason, Karen does not feel comfortable chilling like that because Anya and Himiki are in the desert building. Paka, who is currently with them, expresses his concern for the participating gamers. However, his mind is quite dirty because he feels that Anya might get cocky with Himiki. At the same time, Zaki meets up with Kai in the woods. There, he apologizes for losing control of his emotions at Kihachi's lair. Kai tries to make it look as if he does not know what Zack is talking about. He changes the course of the conversation by asking about Zack's sister's whereabouts. Zack replies by saying that he has no new info. According to him, he asked Paka about his missing sister, but he insisted that he did not know anything. Towards the end of their conversation, Kai states that he is really suspicious of Iride. Back in the desert building, Himiki realizes that the zombies are after her because Anya lied earlier. Despite that, she aims a flashbang grenade at the zombies, and Anya sees an opening to charge past them. In a quest to evade the zombies, Anya gets strangled, and as such his helmet flies away. Himiki jumps quickly to prevent the helmet from falling to the ground. However, that level of the building collapses as Anya tries to save her. Ane regains consciousness after getting some flashbacks of his big brother's accident. He freaks out at the sight of Himiki because she is staring at her weirdly. Back on the surface, Karen explores another building around the desert. While at it, Yuzu enters the building and gets really flirty with her. She caresses Karen's face for a while, but gets interrupted as Kai nukes on the door. Although Yuzu is pissed that Kai interrupted her session with Karen, she listens to what Kai has to say. According to Kai, Irid is sitting to proceed at a spot close to the desert building. Upon hearing this, Yuzu heads out of the building to comfort Iridi. Moving on, Anya and Himiki stare at some carvings on the wall of the building. Himiki thinks that they are both supposed to put their hands between the holes of the carving, but Anya thinks otherwise. At some point, they both hear a voice in the building and Anya struggles to find the source. Finally, he finds out that the voice is coming from the carving on the wall. It turns out that the carving on the wall is the guard that Paka talked about earlier. The guard warns that lies begets punishment, and truth begets reward. Before the guard can begin his interrogation session with both gamers, Anya hits him with a stick. Reason being that Anya is sick and tired of the guard not going straight to the point. Anya learns the hard way as the guard triggers the room to start closing itself. On the other hand, Himiki is stuck begging the guard to give them a chance. Finally, the guard agrees and stops the room from closing itself. Both gamers now have to answer 3 questions correctly from the guard. The first one is about memories. As the guard questions the gamers about their first love, Anya loses his cool again and begins hitting the guard. Because of that, the room begins closing itself again, and Himiki is left terrified. Along the line, Anya yells that he has no first love. Because his testimony is true, the walls of the room stop closing. When it is time for Himiki to reveal her first love, she becomes shy and nervous. In a nutshell, she reveals that her first love lived across her street and his name was Gotanda. After that, the guard hands out a Kappa Kappa slime and then states that it reflects the person who supports Anya and Himiki. As the slime takes shape, it forms Iride's face and both gamers are left shocked. Back on the surface, Zack privately meets with Paka at another building in the desert. There, Paka denies having any info on Zack's sister. Zack demands some extra info about what he did to Yuzu and the others, but Paka replies by saying that the cleaning of the White Room is complete. When asked if bringing up the White Room is a threat, Paka replies by saying yes. However, he reveals that the #1 contender for the White Room is none other than Kai. Upon hearing this, Zack gets upset and takes out a hand dagger with a murderous intent. Before he can do something stupid, Makino stops him by claiming that the other gamers are calling him. After walking a couple of meters out of the building, Makino reveals that he lied earlier. Back at the desert building, the guard reveals that the slime represents who Iride and Anya are currently close to. He then asks both of them to speak of Iride's admirable traits. Himiki wastes no time to perform the task as she goes first. After she is done, Anya thinks hard and finds it difficult to say what is truly on his mind. Finale, Anya says his mind, including a part where Iride helps him out with his peppers, hangs out with him when he is bored, and other cool things. At sunset, Yuzu meets up with Iride in front of the desert building and listens to find out what's up with him. Iride is worried about Anya and Himiki because they are taking too long to come out of the desert building. While Yuzu listens to Iride, Kai and the rest of the gamers, including Paka, arrive at the scene to cheer Iride up. Coincidentally, Anya heads out of the desert building with Himiki and Mini Iride signifying that they are done with the mission. Iride upon seeing them slimes because now he knows that they are okay. A few days later, Anya lashes out at Himiki because Mini Iride stuffed himself in his helmet. Anya is really pissed because it is not the first time that Mini Iride hid in his helmet. In Himiki's defense, she is trying her best to train the slime. Iride, on the other hand, sits by himself eating breakfast. He watches as Anya tries to get back at Mini Iride because he got smacked in the face. Later that morning, Iride and the other gamers try to settle the disparities between Anya and Himiki. While at it, Anya recalls what Himiki told the guard when she was asked the last question some days ago. At that time, Himiki said that she killed her brother. A few days ago, after Himiki answered the guard's last question, she walked out of the desert building with Anya. On the way, Anya got curious and questioned Himiki about what she meant when she said that she killed her brother. Himiki replied by telling a short tale about her big brother. When she was a kid, her brother was put up for adoption because of her. At that time, news spread that her brother was missing after being adopted. Usually, a death certificate is issued if a person has been missing for 7 years. In Himiki's case, it was assumed that her brother was officially dead. Back at the desert building, Himiki feels that her brother is dead because of her. In the present, Anya tries to wrap his head around Himiki's case, but he finds it pointless. Later that morning, Paka debriefs the gamers about their next mission, Stage 7. In a nutshell, Stage 7 is all about hide and seek, but not the usual type. As explained by Paka, the curse-stealing sisters are meant to be avoided at all costs. The gamers are restricted to their personal rooms and hallways, as the rest of the tower will be on lockdown. According to Paka, the sisters on first contact will give a little curse, which will cause blindness. The second time, they will take a gamer's eyeballs away. The gamers are to hide from the sisters within an hour, and after every 15 minutes, Paka will ring a bell to alert the sisters to begin their search. The objective of the stage is for the gamers to avoid getting cursed at the end of the game. That afternoon, Yuzu chills with Karen in a room. She seems worried because she left her panties hanging to dry in another room. However, Karen and Himiki are more terrified because the sisters will come for them very soon. A few moments ago, Paka said that if one finds a gamer who is pure and has avoided the curse, touching them will lift a cursee. In the present, Zack chills in a room with Kai. One reason for chilling with Kai is because Paka told him that Kai might be sent to the White Room. He snaps out of his thoughts and then tells Kai to avoid being alone. In the meantime, Makino enters his bedroom and climbs his bed to sleep, even though the sisters might come after him. In another room, Iride chills with Anya and recalls the mathematical strategy Yuzu came up with to complete Stage 7. Anya is quite scared about the strategy's success rate, but Irid cheers him up. At the appointed time, the sisters become active and begin wandering the rooms to cure an unlucky gamer. Sadly, one of the sisters approaches the room where all the female gamers are in. Zack gets attacked by one of the sisters in his room, and Kai tries his best to protect him. As time passes, Yuzu and Himiki find out that they have been cursed with blindness. Since Yuzu is blind, she uses her hand to search for Karen. While at it, she stumbles on a soft object, thinking that it is Karen's melons. After pressing Mini Irid for a while, she finds out that Karen is lying beside her. Karen is also blind because she was cursed by one of the sisters. Moving on, Anya laughs at Kai and Zack because they have been cursed with blindness. Kai regains his sight immediately after Irid lays his hands on him. Upon seeing Zack, he secretly joins Anya in laughter. After Zack's curse has been lifted, he discusses with Kai and the others about how they will survive Stage 7. Towards the end of the discussion, Kai notices that Zack is being overprotective. Meanwhile, Makino is quite busy sleeping in his bedroom, with headphones plugged into his ears. As the second round of Stage 7 begins, Kai heads to Karen's room to study the nature of Iridi's pictures. Based on his observations, some of the pictures were taken from cameras. He looks around the room and finds a file containing documents concerning the gamer's data. In the meantime, Iridi and Anya are now blind because they have been cursed by one of the sisters. Irid suggests calling for help, but Anya does not like the idea because he does not want Zack to see him the way he is. Despite that, Irid decides to go out alone and call for help. Upon reaching the door, he finds out that one of the sisters is blocking the door. When Anya finds out, he freaks out because it might mean game over for him. Soon one of the curse-stealing sisters enters the room to steal both gamers' eyeballs. Anya and Irid, who are hiding currently, try their best to stay silent in their positions. After an unproductive search, the curse-stealing sister proceeds out of the room. On her way out, Irid sneezes involuntarily, and this draws her attention back into the room. She charges at the wardrobe and opens it, only to find out that there is no one inside. Anya and Irid are currently hiding behind a long window blind in the room. As time goes on, the third round of Stage 7 begins, and almost everyone is blind. Meanwhile, Makino arrives at the room after a long sleep session and finds his blind comrades fighting themselves over a pointless argument. The first person he lays his hands on is none other than Himiki, who regains her sight shortly after. The next to regain his sight is Iride. At this time, the other gamers are now aware of Makino's presence. When asked how he was able to survive the sleeping sisters, Makino replies by saying that he was in his room sleeping. In the end, all the gamers get their curse lifted, and they await the last round of Stage 7. At sunset, Stage 7 ends, and Paka announces that the number of people cursed is 0. He then asks for a representative to come get chromosome 06. In the control room, Paka notices that the view count of the gamers is progressing smoothly. What impresses him the most is the fact that the gamers are achieving such feats with all members intact. Later that day, Paka meets up with the gamers and informs them that they are free for the rest of the day. He speaks of an outdoor bath on the 30th floor of the tower, and states that it will remain open for the rest of the night. In Paka's absence, Kai studies the documents from the file he took from Yuzu's room earlier. Based on what he sees, all the gamers' data except Iridi's and Yuzu's are present in the document. In the meantime, Iridi plays a video game on a computer while Anya reads a comic book. After Irid is done with his game, he tries to convince Anya to join him in the outdoor bath. At first, Anya declines the offer, but after some minutes of intense convincing, he agrees. He then follows Irid to convince the other gamers to join them at the outdoor bath. Karen is totally on par with taking a dip at the hot bath, but she is not sure about Yuzu, who is currently in a serious conversation with Kai. Zack sees that Kai is conversing with Yuzu and gets a bad feeling about it. Soon, the other gamers in the room get fixated on Kai's conversation with Yuzu, trying to figure out what they are talking about. When asked what she is talking about, Yuzu replies by saying that she was guessing the color of everyone's underwear. This alone shocks all the gamers because they never expected to hear such. The guys head out of the room to get ready for the hot bath while the girls take their time to prepare. Upon arriving at the hot shower, Iridi, Kai, and the others see that Paka is in the water dressed in a suit. As Anya wonders why Paka is in the pool, he tells him to ditch the suit. Instantly, pervy Paka assumes that Anya is interested in his body. Despite that, Iridi enters the pool and sits beside Paka. Anya, on the other hand, considers entering the pool since Iridi is comfortable with Paka. However, Paka lets Iridi on a little secret by telling him that they are close to the girls' outdoor bath. As a result, the boys kick Paka out of the hot bath because of his perverted mindset. As Paka heads out of the hot bath, she swaps the men's bath tag with the women's bath tag to mislead the ladies. While the boys enjoy a warm dip in the hot bath, they reveal that they are interested in the girls' hot bath. Meanwhile, Makino has nothing to say since he is already out cold. A small argument begins between Zack and Anya, as Anya tells Zack to take off his nose mask. Since Zack refuses to take off his mask, Anya playfully attacks him, and a water battle erupts. In the meantime, Yuzu and Karen prepare to enter the hot bath. After Karen is done, Yuzu leads the way, and they both arrive at the male's hot bath. However, the guys hide behind a rock in the water to avoid being detected. On the other hand, Yuzu looks around and notices something off about the water. The boys try their best to hold their hormones together. It gets to a point where some Pakameras fly to the fence of the hot bath to get a good view of Yuzu's exploits. After a few more seconds of intense stimulation, Karen notches the presence of the Pacamaras, and as such, she gets upset. In a rage, she aims an object at the Pacamaras that drives them away at once. As Iridi tries to make sense of the situation, he considers himself dead if Karen finds him. When he snaps out of his thoughts, he proposes that the boys turn their backs on the girls and walk out of the hot bath with their hands up. However, Anya tells him that the idea is dangerous. Irid comes up with a genius idea by stating that the girls are in the boys' hot bath. According to him, it means that the girls are the ones peeping at them. He then proposes a plan of action for the guys and tells them that anything they see with their eyes is an accident. An argument comes up again as the boys struggle for the person to lead the mission. As a result, Karen finds them and boils in anger. Despite that, most of the boys take note of the fact that Karen's melons are insanely huge. As violence wreaks the scene, Yuzu sits at one corner of the pool smiling because she knows that the boys were there all along. While Karen chases after the guys, her towel drops on the floor and the boys cease all movements to take a peek. However, it does not end well for them, because when Himiki arrives, they are all unconscious. One interesting thing is that Makina was asleep the whole time that Karen was attacking the guys. Meanwhile, Paka smiles because his little misleading act has caused the view count to skyrocket. At nighttime, while everyone is asleep, Kai heads down the elevator, and as the door opens, he draws out his sword. The following day, Zack yells at the other gamers saying that he has not seen Kai since he woke up. Conversely, Kai regains consciousness and finds himself lying next to Paka in the White Room. Later that morning, Paka offers Kai breakfast and tells him to eat when the effects of some drugs wear off. It appears that Paka injected Kai with an anesthetic earlier, so he would not risk getting attacked again. A bracelet hangs on Kai's wrist, which is used to identify dropouts. After Paka is done explaining things to Kai, he lets him have the opportunity to ask questions. However, since Kai is not audible enough, he gets violent and tries to choke him. Despite that, Kai questions Paka about what he did to his grandfather, Paka the allegations, and then leaves the room wishing Kai sweet nightmares. Moments after Paka heads out of an elevator, he finds himself surrounded by Iride and the other gamers. Here, he explains himself to them by saying that Kai violated the rules of the game and tried to attack him. Zack is most pissed by this new development because Kai is like his best bud. Despite that, Paka intends to proceed with the next stage of the game, but Iridi is not on par with him. Paka is quite shocked because Irid, who has been loyal to the games, insists on getting Kai back. He informs him that he will be locked up in the White Room if he disturbs the harmony of the game. However, the other gamers insist that they will not participate in the next stage of the game until Kai is released. Towards midday, Iridi finds Zack gazing at the atmosphere all by himself. He offers Zack some food because he feels he might be hungry. Although Zack is not all that close to Iride, he tries to confirm if he is on his side. When he voices out, he tells Iride to forget about what he said. On the contrary, Iride assures him that he is on his side, and he wishes for the gamers to get complete as soon as possible. Their conversation ends as Paka summons all the gamers to the first floor of the tower. There, he speaks of another stage of the game that will allow the gamers to get Kai back from the White Room. The game features a vault with a 6-digit password that leads to the White Room. All the gamers have to do is decipher 30,000 puzzle pieces and find out the hint to the vault's password. In the meantime, Kai sits on his bed after the effects of the anesthetic wear off. After he washes his mouth in the bathroom, he looks at his bracelet and considers the fact that Zack's sister, Sakura, might still be around. As he tries to get to the other side of the room, he notices something off about the tiles and then bends down to inspect it. Lo and behold, he finds a path below the White Room after taking out most of the tiles. Back at Karen's position, Yuzu explains some details about the puzzle which will help them figure out the password. She places 2 appropriate puzzle pieces together, and they become one. The only thing is that the number on both of them disappears. Since deciphering puzzles is Karen's specialty, she investigates the puzzles and tries to slim the number of combinations that she will make to produce the correct password. Because of how smart Yuzu is, Karen wonders how she figured out the puzzle in an instant. Iride, who is currently with her, says that he has only little info about Yuzu. The only thing he knows is that she skipped grades and completed her master's overseas. On the contrary, Yuzu is quite pressured because of the time limit she has to decipher the puzzle. Kai, on the other hand, creeps out of the passage below the White Room and finds 2 people dressed like Paka on the other side. One of them tried to attack Kai with a bat, but he was quick enough to dodge. Along the line, both of them take off their masks, and the other one introduces himself as Nanami. As Kai stretches out his hands to give Nanami a handshake, he gets tased till he falls unconscious. Afterward, Kia regains consciousness and finds someone who resembles Zack sitting next to him. He then confirms that the girl is Zack's missing sister, Sakura. While Kai tries to get more information from Sakura, Hiro, Nanami's comrade, gets the wrong impression and comes in between them. Hiro has reason to believe that guys who carry Kai's face have some perverted mindset. However, it does not end well for him because Kai picks him up from the ground and inflicts pain on him. It is at this point that Nanami enters the room and apologizes for tasing Kai earlier. Upon seeing Kai's bracelet, he realizes that he is a dropout too, just like he is. After all the explanation, he officially welcomes Kai to the underground. Back at Karen's position, Himiki is stuck trying to figure out how long it would take for them to decipher the puzzle. Yuzu assures her that the 30,000 puzzle pieces will not be a problem. Meanwhile, Yuzu is under intense pressure because of the time limit. Moving on, Nanami offers Kai some new clothes and exchanges key information with him. Kai reveals that he has been in the game for about 4 years, and he is from the 13th Avenue. According to him, Sakura and Hiro are from the 11th Avenue. This info makes Kai wonder if the game occurs in different locations. When he voices out, Nanami breaks it to him by saying that 9th, 11th, and 14th Avenue are also the same place. In his words, every time the members change, the city name is updated. 13th exists on an uninhabited island located far off in the sea. Occasionally, people come and go to restock supplies, but measures are taken to ensure that they are hidden from sight. After Kai gets this info from Nanami, he confirms his suspicion of other people being on the island. Just then, Hiro storms into the room and yells that Sakura is missing. Back at Karen's position, Himiko tries her best to stay conscious, but all she ends up doing is trigger Anya to anger. Anya yells that she should go get some sleep while Iride breaks down the message in a less hurtful way. As a result, Anya holds Iride in a choking position because he can be annoying at times. As time goes on, Kai finds Sakura in some section of the underground. Since she is not in any danger, he joins her on a wandering adventure. On the way, Sakura asks if her brother is okay. Kai replies accordingly, and Sakura seems glad. She leads the way to a room where she decomposes parts of a motherboard. She intends to work something up and give the result to Nanami as a present since he specializes in making radios. They both enter another section of the underground which is quite flooded with water. Here, Sakura jokingly speaks about a mermaid rumored to exist in the water. While speaking about the mermaid, Kai notices something swimming past his legs. Back at Karen's position, Yuzu, although an expert in deciphering puzzles, concludes in her mind that she will not make it in time. When Karen calls her attention, she tries to put up a facade to hide how frustrated she is. However, Karen cheers Yuzu up by telling her that she will let her do anything to her when she is done with the puzzle. With this, Yuzu gets back to work and begins writing possible code combinations on the ground. She analyzes the codes and performs a series of intense advanced calculations to derive the formula for the code. However, her plans fail because she does not remember the number on the first 2 pieces of the puzzle. Luckily for her, Karen has a photographic memory and she recalls the numbers. This alone brightens Yuzu's mood, and she instantly figures out a way to get the code. Back underground, Kai discovers that the rumored mermaid is an enhanced goldfish. Sakura confirms that the fish went through some mutation process because of some visible features on the dorsal fin. After that, Sakura ignores the fish and keeps walking to the other side of the room. As Kai tries to follow her, the goldfish pulls him into the water, and as such, Sakura finds out that he is no longer behind her. While Sakura calls out to Kai, the mermaid tries to have Kai for dinner. Conversely, Hiro circles back to meet Nanami after he fails to find Sakura. He then freaks out when Nanami tells him that he sent Kai to go find her, reason being that he does not trust Kai in a closed room with Sakura. It is a matter of urgency for Hiro, and as such, he sprints off to find Kai himself. Just before he can make it past the door, Nanami stops him and reveals his intent to join him on the search. Meanwhile, Paka notices that Kai is no longer in the white room from the security cameras. Yuzu sits in front of a set of puzzle pieces, trying to use Loon's algorithm to speed things up. The term Loon's algorithm is quite new to Himiki and Anya, and as such, Yuzu explains its concept to them. While she speaks, visible steam rises from Himiki and Anya's heads because the concept is too complex to understand. However, Karen listens attentively and figures out why Yuzu is using the algorithm in the first place. Back underwater, Kai struggles for his life as he tries to break free from the goldfish. While at it, Sakura enters the water and stabs the fish, saving Kai in the process. When they make it to the water's surface, the fish attacks again, but this time, Nanami prevents it from causing more harm. Following that, he lectures Kai about the fish and leads the way to the first section of the underground. Back at Karen's position, Yuzu designates tasks for the gamers to speed up the deciphering process. Toward the end of her speech, he tells the gamers to let Karen stay behind with her so she can use her as a body pillow. Just before Iride can voice his opinions, Karen smacks him continuously in the face to prevent him from saying something stupid. Nanami tells Sakura to be careful of her adventures as time passes because Kai got into trouble. Kai sees an opportunity to make Sakura give Nanami the gift she prepared for him. As Nanami receives it, he appreciates her, but then begs her not to do anything crazy again. However, Karen plays along, and a romantic session erupts between the two. However, Yuzu snapped out of it because she did not expect Karen to switch up like that. Back in the underground, while Nanami enjoys coffee with his comrades, Kai considers the fact that Paka might be onto them from behind the scenes. When he voices out, Nanami reveals that he will have no choice but to oppose Paka. It is at this point that he asks Kai to join his team. Kai politely declines the offer because he prefers to do things on his own as he pleases. At dawn, Karen regains consciousness and finds Yuzu throwing up. It's quite an emergency situation for Yuzu because she is exhausted. Karen lays her on the ground carefully and then sprints off to get some help. As Yuzu lies unconscious, Paka enters the room and helps her fit some pieces of the puzzle. Although the essence of the game is to teach Yuzu a lesson, Paka wishes to help her since she pushed herself to the extremes. As Paka walks away, he mutters, "Don't forget who your master is ever again." Back at the underground, Kai shivers because he took a cold bath. He uses a duvet to make himself feel better while Sakura stares at the tower's blueprints. Kai stares at the blueprints too because Nanami gave them to him. Sakura then states that she does not think Nanami will ever give up when it comes to his old partner. According to her, Nanami believes that his old partner will come to save him. In turn, Kai questions Sakura about what she plans to do next. He wants her to join him so she can meet her brother again. In the meantime, Anya and some other gamers get notified that the vault has been opened. Zack wastes no time to charge down the passage so he can get to the White Room. On the other hand, Kai is still in a conversation with Sakura in the underground part of the tower. There, he finds out that Sakura does not want to leave yet because Hiro does not want to leave Nanami behind. According to her, Hiro purposely dropped out from 11th Avenue because he thought that she would be lonely. Sakura wants to see her brother, but she considers Hiro and Nanami as family too, and she does not want to leave them behind. Just then, Hiro notifies Kai that some people are in front of the White Room calling his name. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the White Room, Nanami tries his best to hold the door to prevent Zack from getting inside. When Irid and some other gamers arrive at the door, Nanami slides some notes to them so they will not panic. On the contrary, Zack becomes more triggered to pull the door himself. Before things can get worse, Kai arrives at the other side of the door dressed in his previous attire. Irid takes over from Zack and informs Kai that he helped to complete a stage of the game that will free him from the White Room. Zack adds that Yuzu is resting in the infirmary because she tackled the puzzle so hard that she collapsed. Just as Kai decides to leave the White Room, Sakura begins shedding tears. She then sucks it up and gives Kai a handshake, begging him to keep her existence from Zack temporarily. In the end, Kai heads out of the White Room and joins his comrades. Although Zack is most excited to see him, he warns Kai not to get cocky again. Later that day, at sunset, Kai meets up with Yuzu at the infirmary. Here Kai checks to know how Yuzu is feeling since he heard the news. Karen, who was present at the time, is fast asleep because she watched over Yuzu the whole day. Soon a conversation begins between Kai and Yuzu regarding the documents Yuzu had on the gamers. Yuzu then breaks it to Kai by telling him that she is the game's record keeper. She only passes information to Paka, which entails details of a gamer's feelings, thoughts, progress, and so on. She also explains that she took the job out of pure curiosity. Since she was quite obsessed with Irid earlier, she was glad to do anything to get more information about him. However, she does not want the game to continue the way it is. After saying this to Kai, she believes that Kai might still doubt her intentions. Moreover, Kai assures her that he just wants to know if she is on his side. He then calls a truce with Yuzu and awaits an answer from her in the future. Days after Kai is released from the White Room, Makino sits alone recalling a time in the past when he was a kid. At that time, he injured himself, and a beautiful lady had him all patched up. He snaps out of his thoughts when the other gamers gather around the room. Just then, Paka hides behind and informs the gamers of Stage 9 of the game. However, Karen and some other gamers give Paka a death stare, signifying that they are not ready for any games. Only Irid is happy to see Paka because he has already forgiven him for locking Kai up in the White Room. Paka then uses an opportunity to congratulate the gamers on reaching 50 million views. To celebrate reaching 50 million views, Paka prepares a virtual simulation for the gamers to enjoy. In this stage of the game, the gamers will lie in a hibernation capsule till some of their avatars are synchronized. Minutes after sleeping in the capsule, Irid regains consciousness and finds a younger version of Yuzu dragging his hair. At this point, Paka reveals the objective of the game, which entails taking care of kid avatars till the plants on their heads blossom. Irid is quite fascinated with the avatars, and as such, he questions Paka about their origins. In turn, Paka replies by saying that the avatars are from the man-eating monsters. They have a unique AI chip implanted in them to make them behave like their respective characters. However, the persons that the avatars are in sync with cannot leave the time capsules until the game is finished. After Paka is done explaining the details of Stage 9, he wishes the gamers luck and leaves the room. In his absence, Karen adopts Mini Himiki while Iridi takes Mini Yuzu. Zack tries to adopt Mini Kai, but he gets rejected because he has no melons. Meanwhile, Mini Makino stays all by himself as he does not accept to follow Zack. Later that afternoon, Iridi and the others gather around a table to enjoy a nice meal. The avatars are gathered as well to take part in the meal. While Anya eats, he takes out some vegetables from his plate. This alone causes Mini Himiki to cry, and as such Karen yells at Anya. Surprisingly, Zack carries Himiki on his back and pats her so she can stop crying. This alone shocks Irid and the others because they never thought that Zack could touch a girl by himself. On the other hand, Makino gives up on eating after he fails to carry some food with his spoon. Anya, who notices this, questions Irid on how he will make the avatars blossom. Irid then tells Anya that he will have to raise the avatar's affection. He does a real-life example by giving Mini Himiki some of his food. As Himiki takes it, the plant on her head grows a little. Afterward, Iridi goes on to explain other acts that will make the avatars blossom. In doing so, he encourages the gamers to smile because the avatars are paying attention to their physical expressions. After Irid's lecture on parenting, Karen tries to implement what she learned from Kai. She calls Kai to help brush his teeth, but Kai declines at first. When Karen offers her beautiful legs for Kai to come sit on, his plant grows a bit. Meanwhile, Zack tries his best to bond with Makino, but nothing works. That evening, he confides in Iride, Karen, and Anya to see if there is a way to solve the issue. At night, while everyone sleeps, Makino recalls a time in the past when he was a kid. At that time, he was caught up with his parents, who used to have fights. However, Sumiri, a beautiful lady who lived next door, paid attention to Makino and cared for him. As time went on, the issue with Makino's parents continued, but Makino found out that Sumire was getting married. In the present, his avatar wakes up at the sound of Iridi's voice. After he regains consciousness, Iridi notices his sad mood and hugs him. However, he heads to the other room and finds out that Mini Himiki has blossomed thanks to Karen. Later that day, as the ladies head off to get a warm shower, Mini Kai insists on joining them, but Anya opposes him. Karen, on the other hand, insists that Kai can come with her since he is just a kid. After a brief session with Karen in the female's bathroom, both Yuzu and Kai's plants blossom. As a result, Paka congratulates the gamers for getting 3 blossoms. Since Stage 9 of the game has been completed, Paka tells the gamers to meet him the next day to get chromosomes 08. The following day, during the meeting with the gamers, Paka warns that they should finish things with Makino so that they can properly finish Stage 9. After the meeting, Anya tries his best to make sure that Makino blossoms. However, his methods are not the best, since he can be harsh at times. Himiki, Kai, and Yuzu arrive at the scene since their avatars blossomed earlier. They all team up with the others to make sure that Makino blossoms. Sadly, all methods employed to make Makino blossom fail, but Iridi does not give up on him. Instead, at night, he heads to the capsule chamber to speak to Makino's real body, although it lies unconscious. He then speaks to Makino about love, and tries to make him understand that it is okay to love someone, even if they do not return the feeling. As Makino lies unconscious, he hears Iridi and considers what he said. The fact that his parents are not the best and that Sumire is in love with someone else bothers him. Despite that, he makes peace with the past and accepts it the way it was. In the present, Mini Makino blossoms after Zack calls him by his real name. For the first time, Mini Makino gives off a smile, signifying that he is happy. Later that day, Paka stares at a big screen from the control room. He is impressed by the fact that the gamers have progressed so far in such a short time. However, he has something in store for the gamers that will take them by surprise. The following day, Iridi meets up with some of the gamers and asks them if they think that Makino has a girlfriend. He feels that way because of something that happened earlier when Makino woke up. Earlier that day, Himiki and Iride arrived at Makino's room to wake him up. When Makino woke up, he hugged Himiki and called her Sumire. In the present, Iride narrates this to Yuzu and the others to get some answers. This alone makes Kai ask if any of the gamers are in a relationship. Iride and Yuzu are the first to deny any allegations of being in a relationship, while Anya and the others claim that they went to a gender-specific school. When asked, Anya reveals that he has no interest in girls. Upon hearing this, Zack picks offense and attacks Anya. In the heat of the moment, Makino walks into the room after hours of sleeping. Iride, on the other hand, wastes no time to ask Makino about Sumire. Based on Makino's facial expression, Karen and Iride realize that he has a girlfriend. While Makino eats breakfast, Yuzu and the others try to guess the kind of girl that Makino is dating. Iride has reason to believe that Makino's girlfriend is older while Yuzu thinks otherwise. Yuzu calls in a vote on the matter, and everyone except Iride votes in her favor. Soon after, Paka calls the gamers to a level of the tower where he speaks of Paka's island. As a reward for progressing so far in the game, Paka wants the gamers to participate in a bonus stage. This stage will allow the gamers to have access to some coins to use and play any game of their choice. The money that they make from winning the games can be used to buy wonderful prizes at the coin exchange. Amid the prizes is a ticket that allows one to make any request that it will be granted. Paka explains that the ticket's abilities are only confined to the game, so that the gamers will not get any funny ideas. The time limit for the game is 2 hours, and the gamers are tasked to play within the time limit. After Stage 9 commences, Karen plays a game of cards, but stakes low so she does not lose too much money. Zack, on the other hand, tries his best to hit the jackpot on a gambling machine, but he fails. Anya, who is currently gambling at the time, states that it is okay to risk high. He believes in risking all of his money with the hopes that he will gain a lot more in return. On the contrary, Zack does not share the same philosophy, and as such an argument erupts between the two. Along the line, Himiki holds a flashbang grenade and sets it off in their midst. In the end, the argument ends, but Anya and Zack are completely speechless. Later on, Anya joins Yuzu, Zack, and Makino in a fighting game where man-eating monsters represent their characters. At first, Anya's character gets beaten to the ground. He recovers and trashes the hell out of his opponents. Anya is quite pleased with his character's display of violence, because it suits his personality. Meanwhile, he has no idea that he lost the game since the beginning. In the end, he loses all his money, and thinks of threatening Paka to get more. However, However, the thoughts escape his mind as Himiki nears him with a grenade. Surprisingly, Himiki offers him her coins because she will not use them. As time passes, gamers indulge in all sorts of games to increase their rewards. At some point, Irid enters a real dice game and proceeds to play it. He plays it to a point where he gets teleported to a battle arena. Yuzu and some other gamers get teleported too, but they sit at the spectators' side of the arena. Irid is to face Mini Irid and come out successful. However, his chances of success decrease as Mini Irid multiplies himself into a bigger version of himself. Surprisingly, Irid sees a way to make Giant Irid become his friend. After he passes that level, the other gamers except Himiki walk away from the scene as they lose interest in the game. In their absence, Iridi gets to a part of the game where he gets sucked into a portal. Himiki, who witnesses this, voices out and informs the others. As Yuzu tries to make sense of Iridi's situation, Paka arrives and states that Iride is alive and well. The only issue is that the bonus stage time limit is running out. When asked what will happen after the time runs out, Paka replies by saying that Irid will become a dropout. This response does not sit well with Anya, and as such he resorts to violence. Despite that, he backs off from Paka after Yuzu emphasizes that time is running out. The gamers think of a way to rescue Iride from the dice game, but most of them are broke. Only Karen is the one with enough coins, but she loses all of her money trying to earn more. Luckily for the gamers, Makino scares a jackpot and wins a shit ton of money. When Makino finds out about Iride's condition, he gives off the cash so it can be used to save him. All that is left is for Yuzu to double the prize money and get Iride back. She chooses the game of cards because she has the best chance of winning. While playing the game of cards, she seems quite nervous because Iride's fate rests on her shoulders. In the end, she wins the game and Iride is rescued in time. Paka gives the gamers a round of applause because of how well they played the game. Days later, Yuzu and the other gamers charge through a beach to complete another mission in the game. This time, they are way past 50 million views, and the end of the game is nay.